So this is a bit different than what we would usually be doing. We're gonna go over the PvP patch for Battle Network 4.5.
This is a patch put together by Gregamaster, and I'm not sure who else. So far I've only heard that Gregamaster has worked on this.
Does it say up here? It just says download it through Tango. But it's a whole rework of the game. Makes it an actual Battle Network game instead of a wacky side game. It's like advanced Link Navies, where you can play as like Fireman or Gutsman, Roll,
essentially
Base. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
We're going to be going over Preview 1 to kind of show people what the patch looks like in general, though, since 4.5 isn't a game that people look at too often.
So, general updates. So we'll start at the top and move down. General updates. All non-Navi Mega Chips are now standard. A lot of these are changes that make the game more similar to Battle Network 6 and how its systems kind of function, which I agree with. That 6 is probably the most streamlined for PvP.
Well, not only this, but on top of the normalizing PvP patch that allows you to kind of have that normal Battle Network PvP, this patch helps with changing a lot of the chips around and you can see it a little bit further down, giving it the megabyte aspect where you can only take so many chips, and it kind of has more defined gigas, mega chips, and standard chips overall, kind of like BN4, but the way Gregamaster's put this together is it's almost like a hybrid fusion between 6 and 4.
Which, it kind of sounds weird, honestly. I wasn't the fondest of how 4 operates under the hood. I should say under the hood. I don't know how these things work, but like how the game feels playing PvP. I wasn't the biggest fan of, but the way that Gregamaster's been doing this is it's a lot of fun to play. It feels great. Let's see, so next up, chip ID order has been changed to put similar chips together. Fairly simple. They're going to keep things together, make finding chips when you're building folders just more streamlined and easier. All DS Navi chips are removed. I think they're just replaced with EX, pretty much, right? Yeah. Navis now have regular EX and SP versions.
I think it's the opposite. I think they took out the DS mechanic, they introduced EX chips, and they kind of just left SP chips in. So they kind of created a middle damage chip that wasn't based around the dark state mechanic.
I see. All regular versions of Navi chips now come in the star code. That's really cool.
I didn't actually know there weren't star code Navi chips in this, although I guess we also didn't mess around too much with that, so...
Yeah. Well, I mean, also, it's not like in 6 where you can run with the boys and you'll be fine. The boys in this game are, Sparkman?
Well, hold on to that thought, because we'll be getting back to that later, and that's something I actually wanted to talk about a little bit.
Oh, really? Okay. We've already kind of went over the folder chip limit, so let's move on to the battle updates. So, chip break effects, such as Searchman, Roll Arrow, now only break one chip instead of all. I think that this should just be removed altogether, honestly. Maybe change it so these, like Searchman or Roll Arrow, deal more damage if your opponent's holding chips. I think is a decent compromise there, but chip break is just so lame.
I don't know. I think chip break is an interesting idea in theory. I think with things like jealousy, destroying your entire hand is a bit out of control. But it also comes from a place where your opponent can't really interact with it, and there's only been one attempt at a chip that actually refreshes chips in your folder or places chips inside of your folder in Battle Network.
Right.
Being folder back.
Right.
So there's no really way to counter that other than, say, an anti-damage or a barrier blocking all the hits. I think reducing it to 1 is a lot better. I think...
Oh, for sure.
I think that a neutral chip having really low damage but also destroying a chip is actually kind of fine, because it can also deal with situations that normally your build can't compromise for. It can punish your opponent for trying to hold on to stuff, which most people would typically do. So it's definitely something that I'd be curious to see as more people play 4.5, if more people play 4.5.
Yeah, hopefully more people play 4.5. I think that 4.5 might be something I want to push a lot more in like the Battle Network Academy Open events.
I think
just because I think the whole format is really fun.
I'll try to talk about it a bit later, but I think maybe because of just how people view 4 in general there seems to be a lot more
there's like a stigma around 4.
No, but there's like more of an attempt to like freely move stuff around and kind of balance it instead of just like kind of trying to preserve all of it, you know what I mean?
I get you, yeah.
So hopefully we could see Gregamaster show a lot of the special traits of 4.5 without fully turning it into 6. Wind chips destroying barriers and auras is a bit different from how it works in BN6. Typically, it would, in BN6, create a wind, but simply using the chip in BN 4.5 will actually destroy the barriers and auras now. I've had this interaction
So
a couple...
It functions differently than in 6?
Yeah, so even if you interrupt the wind rack or the fan, it will still destroy the barrier and such.
Oh.
So...
Interesting. Okay.
It does function differently for those that are curious, but they do also destroy barriers now, so wind rack is a feasible chip in this game. Obstacles no longer being spawned in the back column of the opponent's field. This was kind of depressing, but it...
Yeah, as much as I hate being back-rowed by like a fanfare or something like that, I actually disagreed with this change. Being back-rowed sucks, but I don't think taking away that that function or that ability, I think that changes things. I feel like it could impact things negatively when you're building a folder that kind of revolves around obstacles. It's like, well, now my opponent can just destroy it. It's like, I don't have much of a use for all these unless I'm running Junkman, who can just hurl these at my opponent.
Or even worse, your opponent's running Junkman and they just hurl your object at you.
Right.
There is a bit of a change in Preview 2 that kind of helps a little bit with that. But moving on to a new change, which I don't think this is even a BN6, but the custom gauge changing color based on
that's a nice touch. I liked that.
I think it's actually based on the original 4.5 mechanics, because based on the color of your gauge by how filled it was, you would be able to use chips. But with the real PvP patch, it's more like a traditional Battle Network game, so you don't got to worry about that. So it's just taking some of those original mechanics and using that to kind of improve the quality of gameplay.
see here. Battle HP bug rescaled.
It takes longer. It takes longer to take damage from Battle HP bug.
Custom HP bug has been rescaled. And then getting hit by a water attack on an ice panel now causes the frozen status effect.
I didn't know this was possible, because it seems like they're adding more to 4.5. Like, they're just straight up adding new effects and such. And I didn't, from what I understood, I thought all the Battle Tower games were pretty capped out on space. But maybe I'm just missing something, because adding freeze to the game adds a lot of different strategies people can do.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, I don't know how any of this stuff runs under the hood, but like, I don't know anything about programming in general. But adding stuff, I don't see why they wouldn't be able to add new stuff. Maybe they're taking other things out, such as Heat V.
Yeah, so you can see they're already removing chips. So, with that being said, they added that breaking or pseudo-breaking does double damage to frozen enemies. Electric attacks no longer do double damage on ice, which is huge.
All navies have undershirt, which is really good. I didn't my first time playing this patch, I didn't know that, and I found the upgrade chip, which we'll get to. I was like, oh well, this is just the chip you have to play, because this is pretty much just hub batch, and it gives you undershirt. So why wouldn't you want to play this?
Yeah.
But this is a changer. Just having this on by default for everyone is really good.
They changed back B shield so you couldn't just spam it.
Yeah.
Float shoes avoiding poison panel damage. I don't understand that, because... Oh wait, am I thinking of the wrong... Is float shoes the one that goes over broken?
Float shoes is what negates negative effects of panels, except for broken. So, air shoes allows you to walk on broken or holes, and air shoes float shoes allow you to ignore negative effects like sliding or poison.
Adding color effects when you're immobilized by either panels or timpani is really nice.
Yeah, these last two are nice. They're like quality of life things.
Aesthetic, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
They really help with how things. We're gonna kind of gloss over some of the chips, or a lot of the chips, but
yeah. So they removed a lot of the useless chips. So a lot of the Buster elemental chips, so like Bubbler, the basic crack chips, the other versions of the counter, the chips that create dark holes, the anti-elemental chips. We also have
these, if I'm remembering correctly, were all just merged into Element Trap.
Yeah, not in the same way, unfortunately, just because it still has all the bugs of Element Trap.
Right.
But panel shot being removed, that kind of makes me sad. I thought that was a really cool
I think that's just a thing with what was removed?
Panel shot. It's under the anti-chips.
Oh. That was alright, I suppose. I mean, Crackshot is just a better version of that, though, pretty much.
Heat Cross is in the game now, so now you can hit objects and you can reasonably hit around where things are. Interestingly, it doesn't hit directly behind it, because usually people
not to be confused with Heat Cross.
It's literally Heat Cross.
Heat Cross, not to get confused with Heat Cross.
Oh my gosh. Sandworm was somehow added to the game. I guess the
Sandworm is really interesting. I like that.
Yeah, but it creates pitfall panels now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so now there's a way to immobilize enemies that don't have float shoes and can just fly over these. It also does decent damage. I think it also comes out pretty quickly in this game. And because no one is just playing Megaman, you can't just cross and sit in the back row and just spam chart shots.
Right.
Lava Seed being an addition is pretty interesting because I don't remember... Lava Seed was a thing in 5, was it not?
Yes. It was in 5, and I think that was the only one it was in, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, so lava panels are in the game again, which is pretty cool. No volcano panels. Same thing with Grass Seed, same thing with Ice Seed, all of them except Lava Seed come in Star Code.
Yes.
That has to
and
do
I think that's kind of to balance out Fireman.
Yeah, but we'll get back to that later.
Yeah, we'll get back to that then.
Drill Arm's in the game.
Added. Justice 1.
Yeah.
Air Spin, that's Air Spin 1, 2, and 3.
Keep in mind that wind chips instantly destroy barriers and such. They don't need to wait, and they don't need to actually land, which is really interesting.
That upon using Air Spin, it just gets rid of the attack, or is because using the chip spawns the object, and then the object does the wind attack? Is it just upon spawning the object it gets rid of it?
I haven't experienced the wind from objects chips that much, but I would have to assume it works in much the same fashion, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's a little bit more polished because it's the attack coming from the object itself.
Yeah.
I don't know why crack shot, double shot, and triple shot were added.
Yeah, that was one that surprised me. But I mean, they're not bad. They're not bad chips.
Terrible chips.
Good, but they're not bad.
They have utility.
Yeah.
Buster Up is in the game, even though Buster Puck isn't a build you can run in this game. And there's also another chip that was added that
Buster Up has a different functionality, because I suppose we'll get to this once we get to navies, but as like a brief preview, unlike in 6, the busters don't cap out at level 5; they cap at 10. So you can have just a stupid powerful buster with a Buster Up and a couple other chips. So
absolutely.
Element Trap functions similar, if not identical, to how it works in...
Don't be fooled. It's the exact same. If the element's on the field, it'll disappear. But it's also... Keep in mind that it's a format where elements are being tossed around a lot more due to elemental navies and elemental coverage. So you don't have to worry too much about an opponent holding something if you're running Element Trap, because odds are they'll have to use it to dig through their folder.
Or if you're just going up against a Elecman or Fireman, their charge shots are going to activate this as well. So you can just pop one of these off between, while they're charging up, and be like, alright, hit me, take 240. Junk Reborn. Attack opponent with junk cubes, and the number of junk cubes is equal to the number of the user's objects that have been destroyed.
Yeah, so junk cube is pretty interesting. Basically, it's supposed to have this interaction with air spin, because air spin's an object chip, right? Mm-hmm. So if your object gets destroyed, you can just multi-hit and hit a bunch. That's it.
And then upgrade. A new Giga Chip. Quote unquote new Giga Chip. It is Hub Batch.
Yeah, it's Hub Batch. It's also it'll be the only Xcode Giga Chip in the game after the changes.
Mm-hmm. Setting your Buster to 5, and then you can just use a bunch of Buster Ups. Or there's one more that we'll get to. I'll kind of gloss over the small changes. Stop me if there's any one you want to.
Let's start from the top, because some of these are really good.
All right.
So a lot of the cannon chips, a lot of the damages were modified to match more in line with BN6. M-Cannon isn't going to be doing past 200, thank God, because you don't want to have that just clear life aura. Vulcan, what's up?
Can't Gutsman and Numberman boost that to 200?
Yep. So Gutsman and oh no, they can't, because Numberman increases all dull chips by 10.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. But Gutsman can, and then Starman can on occasion.
Yes. Yeah. So Vulcan got buffed as well, just because it's kind of a classic Megaman shape. You can't really just get rid of it, right? But the number of shots was reduced, so you're not just stuck in there as long.
Right. You're not standing there if you miss.
Yeah. Super Vulcan got another 10 damage, even though it only lost 2 shots as well. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, this one it hurts You'll just watch your health melt away if you get hit by that.
Oh yeah, it's great. Spreader is in the game for some reason. I don't know why,
Spreader's
but we'll see.
I think that kind of falls under the Vulcan clause, where it's just another classic Battle Network attack.
A lot of the elemental shots were modified for the new MB system. Wide shot was buffed. Even though I'm pretty sure Aquaman can chip charge in this, which is pretty curious. Oh, I think it was reduced to 1 wide shot versus wide shot 1, 2, and 3, so that might be the reason. I might be very wrong though. Oh no, wait, no, because it says right there 60, 80, 100, so I'm just wrong.
Ugh, get with it. Gundel Soul now deals outdoor damage.
Yeah, so based on where you were in the overworld, the Gundel Soul would do different amounts of damage.
But now that's just set to outdoor, which is outdoor was the higher number. So that's just a default. Damage increases for the breath attacks.
Yeah, all of them still did their effects, their MB was changed, and their damage was increased. And Electric paralyzes now.
Chip rework coming from Sandring. And damage increase from 0 to 10. Got a megabyte change. Now creates a pitfall on all non-broken panels it travels over. After colliding with an object, it now creates a V shape. I have not used this chip.
I have used this chip, but in a format with a bunch of float shoes, it can end up breaking.
Yeah.
And without beast charge, it's kind of niche. But it can also trap the opponent for a long time because of pitfall panels.
Yeah, that is if you're going up against someone who isn't. There's what, like 4 or 5 different navies in this.
Yeah, there's a lot.
That have,
but there's also a lot of other navies. So.
Yeah.
Twin Figure's water element. I didn't remember that.
Yeah, I always think it's null element, but or was null element, and then going back through in this patch, I always pass over it.
Also, interestingly enough, the things now spawn in front of the user instead of on the user's panel, so it falls more in line with how the virus spawns the teeth, where it'll kind of like start in front. Maybe?
Yeah, and then it shoots forward.
Element Dark got nerfed so that people couldn't just kill people with it. Even though it's still a relatively strong chip, you just can't reg it. Magbolt receives an overall upgrade, even though its MB is raised a little bit, so people can't just make stun combos.
Yeah, it's still pretty good. The burst, the magnet burst or elect burst it creates, if it misses, can still be pretty good. I know I've nailed you a couple times with that. Tornadoes damage doubled on grass, ice, lava, and pitfalls instead of only pitfalls doubling damage.
If that has any bugs, because I'm pretty sure that was bugged in some of the being Japanese versions.
Interesting, I didn't know that.
Just something to do with freeze time, if I remember right. Static being wind element now, but no longer gets bonus hits from panels.
How does static work in this game? Is it just like max bugs, or is it just
I'm not sure. It might just function the same.
Okay. Just a lamer version of tornado. Purple tornado. Mega energy bomb, who cares?
Black Bomb was buffed a little bit. Geyser was buffed for some reason, even though it already did a lot of damage. Bug Bomb was reworked.
Yeah, Bug Mom now picks picks bugs the target does not have first. Bug Bomb might be just kind of crazy in this format, just because this is kind of a bug-free format. So being able to just say, all right, you're gonna have HP bug and a custom bug, and you're gonna have to deal with it.
Well, it's not custom bug; it's custom HP bug.
Oh,
if
it does
had
say custom
bug
HP.
in there, it would be so much better.
I completely like zoned out on that HP. Buffs for the swords. Complete rework for Slasher. Slasher now slashes your opponent if your opponent enters the user's original 3x3 instead of when the opponent enters the user's area. Damage has been reduced from 240 to 160, and there's been an MB increase as well.
Yeah.
And Maramosa's damage has been decreased. Max damage has been decreased from 999 to 500.
Yeah, so no just revenge killing someone for looking at you wrong.
So, little did you know, this was all according to plan.
Yeah, so Z-Saver functions correctly with Protoman, it looks like, instead of not functioning correctly before.
That would be unfortunate. Does nothing instead. Windrack now pushes everything in front of the user instead of only pushing what's directly hit by Windrack.
I've seen a lot of bugs with that so far.
Really?
Like, sometimes it'll blow away the aura, and it just won't push the enemy away.
Huh.
But I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at all the clips to kind of see what a consistent market was.
So counter. Damage was increased from 70 to 200.
Yeah. Counter was a very tight frame.
Yeah, I've never been able to get that to work.
I've hit you with that a couple times if I remember right.
Really?
All the wood chips are reworked to kind of function like BN6 where they don't cause flashing. And you can see with some of the wood nevies and how they buff wood chips just how crazy they can get really quickly.
Yeah, it can get kind of insane. Like a white web, you can chip charge white web 3 for 200 damage landmines that don't deal flashing.
Yeah.
It's it can get kind of nuts. Mokuresh coming from behind took me off guard.
I didn't know that was a change, honestly. I'm not sure why that was made to change it like that, because if the idea is that it was because holes can sometimes be in the middle, there are several BN4 arenas where there are holes at the beginning, backspace.
Right. I don't know. It was kind of a weird change when I saw that. I was like, oh, okay.
It's a funny surprise.
Because I remember I killed you with it first before I like read this, and I was like, wait, what? Excuse me?
I didn't notice it at first either, but I couldn't remember enough to really justify.
Big Hammer no longer cracks random panels. Now drops, depending on your which version you're playing there. Rocks if the hammer hits a non-broken panel. Rocks do guard piercing damage. They crack panels, and they also immobilize the opponent for 60 frames if the hammer hits the non-broken panel.
So it's kind of like the jumping viruses in BN3, the ones with the huge
like melodies or whatever.
No. The ones with the iron ball and chain that would just hop around and cause the shockwaves.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they would immobilize you every time they hit the ground, or at least the upgraded versions would. It seems they want to keep Bully Bomb for some reason.
I have never used this chip in any of the Battle Network games.
Neither have I, because both players can move it. As far as I understand, I don't know if you can take damage from this chip, honestly.
I think I know what I'm gonna play with next.
Buffing Time Bomb because Time Bomb's an awful chip.
I mean, Time Bomb at 150 is just kind of it's nearly worthless because especially if you can't back row your opponent with a Time Bomb.
Yeah.
A lot of like Bomb Boy and Time Bomb are kind of worthless because your opponent's just gonna go. I was like, oh well, I'm gonna destroy that. I'm not just gonna.
Yeah.
You can use it as maybe a little bit of bait. It's like, hey, do you want to take 230 or do you want to take this other thing that I have lined up? Let's see.
They nerfed mine a bunch, but you can take multiple now.
Yeah, you can take multiple. It still breaks life aura. I think that's a just nerf. I think that's okay.
Yeah, doing 300 damage was way too much. It was really funny, but it's way too much.
Guard is now Reflector.
Yeah.
And you only need Reflector 3. It's just so good.
I'm not sure why the recovers are still in the game. I would have thought these were slots you would have wanted to move for other stuff.
Yeah, I don't know why 50, 80, 120, and 150 are here. You could maybe make an argument for 200. But I think, honestly, 300 is really the only recovery chip you need.
They might just be slots for later, but for now they're reworked along with everything else.
Perhaps, yeah, that makes sense.
Metal Shell being reworked to now would be neutral damage, and so you can take multiple of them still.
I've enjoyed the fact that it is null instead of water when I'm playing Fireman. But every other time I'm like, why is it null? I mean, I guess for that exact reason where you can't just back row your opponent playing Napalmman or Fireman and just deal what is like 300 damage multiple times.
Yeah. Exactly. Grab Banish and Grab Revenge now works like in BN6. They'll pierce invis, they'll send the opponent flying, and they'll return the panels to the user.
Code change for Geddon 3.
Yeah, not unreasonable anymore. Slow gauge nerf and fast gauge nerf, so you can't take as many of them.
I mean, realistically, you only need 2 anyways. If you really want it to be fast, if one or the other.
Huge jealousy nerf. It no longer destroys chips. It's 55 MB, so you can only take one. And it only does 80 damage instead of 100 for however many chips your opponent brought that turn.
I legitimately like this rework. It's still not something I've played with myself, but it turns it from that like scumbag chip where it's like, oh really? Come on, you're just gonna get alright, well, I guess I'm gonna use charge shots this turn. To it's like, oh wow, that really hurt. Ouch, okay. Gonna have to watch out. But Black Weapon is really good in this.
Yeah.
Black Weapon, so it increases your Buster by 5. It doesn't raise it to 5. It adds 5. So if you use Upgrade, which sets your attack to 5, and then Black Weapon that would add 5, so your attack is now at 10. The only downside to that is that it gives you like the highest HP bug, so -1 HP every 6 frames. But you can just take a bug fix, and it fixes that. It fixes that. So you can you just play with max stats pretty much if you're using Upgrade and Black Weapon and bug fix. Something that Tchomp hit me with last week was he used Upgrade and then Black Weapon, and then he hit me with Bug Chain and then bug fix. So he gave me his HP bug and then fixed himself. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Holy Panel now spawns underneath the user instead of in front.
Oh, thank gosh! I've been saying this should have been a thing forever.
This is so good. Why is it in front of the user? And
I like to think that Megaman is sculpting the Holy Panel like right in front of him is kind of their mentality for it.
I suppose that makes sense, but you could use that same like logic to be like, oh yeah, he's using that ability directly underneath him. Megabyte changes from invis through the barriers.
Yeah, so you can take less of them, and they're just generally more well balanced.
Yeah, no more taking 4 barrier 200s, unfortunately.
It was 100.
It was 100s?
Yeah, it was 100s.
Okay, I remember taking at least a couple barrier 200s the first time we played this.
Yeah, you could still take 2 barrier 200s. It was crazy. Anti-damage now works like... Yeah, it also works like being 6, so it needs at least 10 damage to trigger.
It's 4 and 5 anti-damage. I don't remember if it was gotten 3 as well, but just the simple buster shot getting rid of anti-damage was like, alright, well... It was good for TFCs, but other than that, there wasn't much use for it.
Yeah, it wasn't great as a result of that.
Anti-sword now makes you invincible, like it does in 6.
Yeah, that's great, so you can't be hit out of it. I assume is what would happen.
Just some star codes and megabyte changes through to Fire Plus. No longer affects all chips that dim the screen. And now spawns grass panels in a, I guess, double plus shape instead of the entire field.
Yeah.
I think that's how Fire Soul works in 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that how Fire Soul works?
I think so. That's when you initially go into Fire Soul, it spawns those panels, right?
I've never played Red Sun, so I'm not sure.
Well,
honestly, it's really good because it also sets up for it. It not only gives non-dooming fire chips so much damage, but it also has the chance to do double damage on the panels they do hit.
So this is actually, I probably should have read through this before a bit more thoroughly, but the Fire Plus, Thunder, Aqua, and Wood Power, all of these don't affect dimming chips, which is something I was not aware of. I was constantly pairing Fire Plus with Fireman, or like Wood Power with Woodman was another one I was trying to do. Damage increases, megabyte rescaling for Guts Punch. Prop Bomb, this Windman's attack is now Wind Element. The explosion is increased damage. And then getting hit by the Prop Bomb actually deals a little bit of damage instead of just fizzing out. And the movement of the the prop itself was increased. Looks like it's the same across the board, but it still moves a bit faster.
Yeah.
Secret Bomb explosions shaped from a single panel to a plus or a cross, which is really good.
Yes, now it has a chance to zone the opponent after you throw it.
Meteors it's got a rework. Increased damage. Megabyte change. It now targets the opponent in a random panel around the opponent instead of only targeting the opponent if used on a matching row. The delay Delay before the user can use another chip has been decreased from 20 frames to 30 frames. Meteors can no longer counter hit, which is good. Number of meteors increased from 5 to 10. And meteors now cause flinching but not flashing. Meteors is such a busted ass chip, holy shit.
Yeah, for those that don't understand, for example, look at the 80 damage. This is the real-time meteors as well, for those who are confused. So if an opponent gets stuck with no super armor and they get hit, then they'll just get chain hit by meteors over and over again until they either die or the meteors stop.
This is, there's meteors, and then I guess to like differentiate, there's this one, which is meteors, and then there's the time freeze one, which is in like 4 and 5. And I think it's in 6 too, right? Yeah, it's an R code. Where you could call that like meteor shower, where it just hits every single panel. This is different, where it just targets your opponent, just pop, 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 pop. Well, they reworked it now, where it will hit a random panel as well. But in practice, I've seen it more just targeting my opponent rather than hitting some random ass panel to the side. Lightning paralyzes for 150 frames, and also damages the object that it hits. Lightning was fun. I think. Yeah,
lightning's pretty crazy.
I think the back row rework kind of neuters lightning a bit, but
yeah, there's no way to. I mean, you can still put it in the column beforehand.
Yeah. Hot cut no longer dims the screen, which it now works. Hot cut is before it worked like it was just like an extra Protoman chip, where Protoman would spawn and he would use wide sword and long sword. But now it works like the katana chips from Battle Network 5, where you just in real time use wide sword and then long sword.
It also works like Proto Soul, where it won't cause flashing when it hits.
Damage for number ball, damage is now shown on the ball.
So if damage goes over 100, then you can still see like some kind of digit on there.
It increases buffs to damage for Aqua Up and Greenwood. Marking. Invulnerability time changed from 600 frames to 200 frames. What the hell does this chip do?
Yeah, I'm not sure what marking does, to be honest. I meant to test a little bit with it, but I didn't have time for it.
That's gonna put that on the list of things I'm gonna throw into the pot. It was just some random build I make.
So roll gets a damage increase, which is super helpful, but you can still only take one of the SP version.
Gutsman, damage rescaled. Guts Hammer now pierces guard, and the rocks also pierce guard. Only the SP version cracks all panels in front of the user, instead of random panels in front of the user.
Yeah.
Windman, damage increase, megabyte rescaled. Round tornadoes now match the target's column before changing direction, instead of changing direction 3 panels away. Round tornadoes now travel until they reach the end of the stage after reversing directions, instead of disappearing after 7 panels total.
This is kind of silly. I don't understand why they reworked it like this, because they essentially just guaranteed a 300 damage SP chip that destroys auras.
It's an interesting choice, yeah.
It does probably the most damage in the game.
Just for a single Navi chip, yeah. Searchman, damage and megabyte. Same with Fireman, Thunderman, Protoman. Numberman's base damage was increased, and his dice now explode if it lands on top of an object. Did it just get deleted if it hit an object before. I'm assuming that's what happened.
Who knows? Maybe it just dudded, maybe it just didn't actually do any damage.
Damage increase, megabytes.
It looks like Navi chips were buffed more to be in line with BN6 in terms of damage output. It kind of makes sense since a lot of the HPs of different Navis was increased in this game, or with this patch.
Yeah.
Shadowman now being S code instead of X is nice.
Yes, so that kind of goes into, let's see, we got the boys in this game is a bit different. I've personally been running with Protoman and Burnerman, two really high damaging chips. And then Shademan, Sparkman, and Searchman, also very high damaging chips. Sparkman covering the entire field, Shademan being able to pierce invis, and Searchman, if you're able to hit it, which I have not been able to hit it yet, dealing a shitload of damage. And I think it also pierces invis as well.
Yeah, it does.
And breaks guard. Does it break guard?
I don't think it breaks guard, but I think it does paralyze, if I'm not remembering, or if I'm remembering correctly.
Laserman. Command code can only be used by the SP version. The command code is A plus direction for the laser effects. Up is reduce your opponent's buster attack. Reduces your buster attack to 1. Holy shit. Not by 1, to 1. Down removes float shoes and air shoes. Left reduce custom by 1. And right removes super armor, undershirt, and B left abilities. That's very strong. On top of that, you're also taking 210 damage.
Yeah, so if you hit, and it also pierces through invis.
So Navis that have super armor baked in, or float shoes and air shoes just baked into their thing, you're not getting that from like the upgrade chip. It's it neuters a playstyle like pretty bad.
And this is something to consider, because in Link Navis BN6, you couldn't use uninstall against each of the Navis. They would just have all of their traits all the time, but with Laserman SP, now you have a chance of reducing a lot of the natural advantages that each Navi has.
Yeah. Let's see here. Some damage rescaling. Base was changed from X code to F code. Bug Curse now pierces invis. Black Barrier, stepping over a holy panel while Black Barrier is active, now clears the holy panel.
Yeah, it's like a 300 damage barrier, so it's only understandable that it would delete that.
Yeah. As a 300 damage bubble wrap, pretty much, if I'm remembering correctly. Black Barrier will just reform after a certain amount of time.
Yeah, because remember, it is a Giga, and it does die to wind chips.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't have nearly as much protection as it did previously. Yeah, so now Giga Cannon hits the back row even if it doesn't hit anything, which is so
like
much better.
It's like Tank Cannon on steroids now.
Yeah, now it's actually viable. H-Burst actually got nerfed. Or, no it didn't, because it doubled the amount of hits. So
at first glance, yeah, but
I guess if you have super armor, then you can walk out of it. Or does it paralyze in this game? I don't remember.
I do not know. That's another one for the chili build.
Hmm.
Let's see, what is super SPR? Super spread?
That's what I would assume.
I don't know which one that is. Is that wide shots? I think that's wide shots. PA.
Let me pull up the EO program advances.
Beast Fang. is now Aqua Element.
Yeah, Super Spread is White Shot.
Okay. Just some small changes to code for Poison Pharaoh and Dark Neo. Damage increases.
Oof.
So here we are getting to the actual meat and potatoes of this here patch, the Navies. Megaman had his base HP increased from 1,000 to 1,400. He now has Cust 8 by default, a default Buster stat at 5. He has access to 7 Mega Chips instead of 5, and 2 Gigas.
Yeah, so to kind of compromise on Megaman's low damage and his inability to access souls, he's given a lot of capacity. Although I do want to point out that Dark Neo actually uses different chips than before.
Oh yeah, it does.
Because Dark Line is no longer in the game. Same thing with Poison Pharaoh.
That's right.
Yeah. Alright, so Roll has increased HP and her Cust has increased. You can kind of see that a lot of the Navies are scaled up to deal with that kind of Battle Network 6 style, because a lot of the chips are already increased. But now she has chip heal, kind of like her soul half. Every time she uses non-elemental chips that don't dim the screen, she can chip heal for 5% of her max HP, which isn't a lot considering her max HP is the lowest in the game. But you can kind of see here one of the gimmicks of 4.5 is the dual weapons, where a lot of Navies will come with dual weapons. Some of them don't, but in this case, Roll has a barrier, which gets weaker with each use, and also the roll arrow, which functions almost exactly like the chip. It'll increase with their Buster attack, but it can also destroy a chip still. And there's just a bunch of stuff changed for that. Like, there's a lot of stuff changed about the speed, the timing activation. It's all great.
Gutsman. HP is increased. You can now access 6 Cust 6. Has super armor by default, which honestly Gutsman should have had super armor to begin with. Non-dimming null chips and non-dimming break chips get a plus 30, that's very powerful. Gutshammer's counter time was reduced, not by much, but enough. Damage increased from 50 plus 10 times attack level to 50 plus. What? Oh, it got a plus 10. I was like, those are the same numbers. What the fuck am I reading? Charge time was reduced by a little bit, only a second and a half. The delay before moving after the attack was decreased by quite a bit, so that's nice. You're not waiting half a second after using Gutshammer, which feels like an eternity. And Gutshammer also now pierces guard. I think Gutshammer should just do break damage. Like when thinking of like Navies that are break element, Gutsman I think should be one of those.
Yeah, he hits you with a huge hammer, should do breaking damage.
Counter time reduced on Guts machine gun. The damage was increased. The delay before shooting was halved. It was cut in half. The delay between shots was reduced. So now it's not a bloop bloop bloop. It's now bloop 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 bloop. And the last shot will cause flinching and flashing. I think Guts machine gun should be buffed more. I think it should have a higher range. I don't think it should be like a line nuke, but I do think it should be something where like it gives Gutsman that option to like, all right, I in a kind of bad spot right here. I need to hang back a little bit.
Yeah, for a chip that locks Gutsman down in place, it definitely doesn't seem that great. But it's also important to consider that breaking element and wind element aren't actually in the game, so there aren't wind or breaking element navies in this game. They're just null navies.
You want to take Numberman?
Yep. So Numberman's HP was increased from 1,000 to 12,000, but instead of getting higher HP, his cost was increased from 5 to 10. His MB was increased from 50 to 70, which doesn't actually work as far as I can tell.
What do you mean? Like,
because
that's for regging, correct?
He basically has number open, but every time I've taken a chip with Numberman, it'll like overwrite whatever the reg is.
Oh.
Like you just won't have it. Non-elemental chips now get plus 10 damage. That includes screen dimming chips, one of the few times that you see that. So any multi-hitting chips, which includes Gigas, by the way, get a plus 10. The dive bomb was buffed a little bit. It really isn't good still because you could just walk into it even after it's already on the ground and only take like 30 damage.
It's still not the best,
that's
but
pretty much everything about it.
Fireman, HP increase. He now has Cuss 7. Buster was default Buster was increased from 3 to 4. He gets a plus 50 to all non-dimming fire chips, and Fireman now heals 1 HP per every 4 frames when he's standing on a lava panel. And this kind of going back to Lava Seed. This is why Lava Seed is not in Star Code, because just being able to throw down a lava seed and be like, alright, I'm gonna heal for a little bit. What are you gonna do about it? If you're gonna step onto this area, you're gonna take a little bit of damage. Is it really worth it? So locking lava seed in that code and being like, okay, well, I have to make this decision either while you're building your folder. Do I want to be in more of this code, or like I know it's an R code. Like, do I want to have more of an R code centered folder, or do I want to just have this soup, this extra like splash code in here that might end up clogging things up?
So it's really interesting because typically when you look at elemental navies, when you look at fields that generally revolve around that element, there's usually a negative attribute and then a positive attribute, where those elemental navies won't experience the negative attribute and they'll get a positive attribute. You see that with ice panels and how aqua navies won't slide around while other navies do. You can see that with grass panels where wood navies are healing and other navies are kind of at risk for taking more damage. Although I guess that's true for wood navies, so outside of aqua navies, it's a pretty good deal, it looks like.
Firearm, Fireman's charge shot, has a decreased in its counter time. Had a damage rescale. The delay before the fire appears. The fire now comes out immediately. There was a delay before of 10 frames, but now you use the charge shot and you fire your fire. It's not, you're not waiting for a moment. Your opponent doesn't get any brief seconds to jump out of the way. Charge time was reduced from 60 to 40 frames, and the delay before or moving after the attack was increased from 0 to 5, which I'd agree with. Now, if only to just kind of have like an animation play out. It's not, oh, there's fire on the screen and now I'm over here. There's like a I'm shooting at you and now my arm is down and now I can move. Like, it's not much, it's only
Yeah.
5 frames, but it's still...
Yeah, it locks them into a position he could be countered.
yeah.
Yeah. Alright. So, Woodman is a pretty interesting Navi, having probably the largest HP pool in the Grega patch 4.5. Even then, having 6 cust and super armor, kind of making them pretty useful. They actually have a delay between moving though, which is pretty interesting, but it's not that big a deal because they have super armor, so you can't just hit them out of whatever they're using.
Yeah, you're gonna be walking around like a tank.
Yeah.
Woodman is the tank Navi. It's I've been toying around with Woodman. He's pretty fun to play.
Yeah, he'll see some changes later because he can still double wood damage, which is pretty crazy because Grega already went back and made it so wood chips function like it's 6, where they won't cause you to flash. So you can see that being really messy with a Navi that doubles damage and has more HP and still has cust and has super armor.
Yeah.
So Death...
And then on top of that, Death Forest is very good.
It's okay. It's a very long charge to do a several panel attack, and even then you can just jump out of the panel. And Woodman's locked down, so he can't just follow up with a chip while you're moving around.
Right. But activating Death Forest, Woodman will jump up in the air, and that counts as not being on the field, so you can use that to dodge attacks.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of chip attacks or buster attacks in 4.5 that allow you to dodge things. I'm trying to...
Another thing is, with Death Forest, if you area lock someone, you can... It just guarantees the hit if you just back row them.
Yeah. Absolutely. Actually, that's not true, because I found that if you use Guts Hammer and they're in the back row, sometimes it'll only summon 2 rocks.
Huh.
It's very interesting. So it might work the same for Death Forest, it might not, but I'll try to point out the attacks like Death Forest as we go that can kind of be used to dodge.
Dodge other attacks.
Yeah.
Siege Shot is I don't know. I haven't used it too much. I think it's outshined by Death Forest quite a bit.
I'm pretty sure it's just a pellet shot. If I'm
It is.
Yeah.
It's similar to Guts machine gun, but instead of little tiny lemons, it shoots seeds.
Yep.
Windman, everybody's favorite right now. Everyone loves Windman.
Fun.
Super fun, crazy fun to play with.
New Windman action figure, new fun, new toy.
Real karate chop action.
That's not a thing anymore. Kids don't even know karate chop action.
Kids these days. Propeller bomb. Okay, what's his charge shots were completely changed from default 4.5. In default 4.5, his charge shots were wind and fan. The effects wind and fan give. Those have been changed to propeller bomb, which is the chip that you can use. It's now his charge shot. I think it's a little weaker than the actual chip, and it sends out 2 of them. But the real kicker, the one that is just really damn good, is Round Tornado. That's the attack that Windman uses in his chip attack, where he sends those little tornadoes out. Round Tornado has a 40 frames for charge time, and its damage.
That's very fast.
Its damage is really good too. So you can just rifle these things out just constantly. Like, by the time you have another one charged up, they're out of flashing. And Windman's custom screen ability has been set to wind and fan. So you can just kind of decide where your opponent is. Are they going to be in the back row this turn? Are they going to be in the front row this turn? It's Windman is very good right now.
Yeah. Woodman has a lot of shenanigans where they can move you around the arena, and with the wind attacks, it could be pretty good at harassing you and moving you around for a lot of the area control options that 4.5 has to offer.
I kind of glossed over the plus 10 to wind chips. There aren't... I kind of glossed over that because there aren't very many. I mean, there's like, what? Propeller Bomb, Air Spin,
Tornado,
Wind
Static.
Rack. Yeah, Tornado and Static. I'm not thinking of it, I'm blanking on anything else that does damage at least. I think wind is one of those elements that needs a little bit more love.
I don't think so if it's going to function like Battle Network 6, because they're already multi-hitting chips, so they capitalize on attack increase, but they also destroy barriers. On top of the fact that in 4.5, they instantly destroy on-chip usage. I'm still not sure how it functions with Airspin, because as you said, like, it's an object that activates, right?
Right.
But it's one of those things you gotta consider balance-wise, is do you want these chips to do more damage? Do you want them to retain the niche that they're multi-hitting? Or do you want it to kind of be its own element, right?
Right. Moving to Searchman. I have not played with Searchman yet.
Yeah, Searchman's a lot of the same. He already had a pretty decent HP pool, so he's not going to have that really HP increase like a lot of the other navies. They changed the charge shot, make it less easy to counter, does a little bit more damage, takes a little bit more time to charge. And instead of giving Searchman more cust, they now have the chip shuffle feature, so they can kind of filter through their folder kind of like you do with BN5 Search Soul. Although we will see a little bit of a change for that in Preview 2 later, so don't grow too attached to the idea that Searchman is this unstoppable folder searching god.
Yeah, I haven't played with Searchman too much. He's one on my list that I want to toy around with.
You've used him against me before.
Did I?
Yeah, you did.
Huh.
You stun locked me with the charge shot.
That's disgusting. I'm sorry. Aquaman! Aquaman has an increased to his cust.
I'm kind of surprised he hasn't auto-corrected the Aquaman to Spoutman. Although I guess Spoutman was the change.
Yeah,
but most people
this is
are
localized
so accustomed
name.
to it now.
Aquaman sounds cooler.
Yeah. But I don't know, I like Spoutman. It sounds more like what they are. I mean, I guess they do have the amoeba head.
Yeah.
But, like, when you think of Spoutman, you think of him bawling and crying and fucking flooding the entire net.
Yeah.
Or, actually, you didn't experience that because you played Red Sun, huh?
I did. I played, yeah. I don't remember which one I played. I think I played both. I definitely have both. I don't know if I ever got Aquaman's event, though.
It's the first one you experience every time.
Oh, it is? Well, then I definitely did. I don't remember which one I completed as a kid, but I had both.
I don't know. When we get the Legacy Collection, we'll follow... I don't know, maybe we should, like, follow every other game through the other and just kind of talk in game.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Aqua Hose. There is now a slight delay before shooting has been decreased. So you're able to shoot those out a bit faster. And the time the water takes to reach the panel has been reduced by a couple of frames. ×2 on or water chips, pretty good. And then also gets that chip heal that Aquacross gets.
Yeah, it's very interesting that Spout Cross healing comes into play here. I haven't messed with Aquaman too much. It seems like everyone is like more obsessed with Elecman, maybe because the chip is so useless in 6, honestly. But Aquaman's definitely very good because Geyser, like one of the best ways to deal with the final boss in Battle Network 4 to begin with was Geyser, and Geyser has been buffed in this patch, and also there's new groundbreaking chips in this patch. So if you wanted to 2x 480 damage Geyser your opponent with Spoutman, now is the time before Gregamaster catches on.
Oh boy.
Alright, on to
Thunderman.
Yeah. So Thunderman is kind of on the same niche. They got the HP increase, the cost increase that everyone else gets. Instead of having the clouds and how they function in BN2, you kind of have this orbiting cloud around the arena that would stun. In the original 4.5, it would be stopped by objects, but Gregamaster has removed that. And non-dimming electrics now gain 50 damage. For the charge shot, we have Thunderbolt, so the counter time has been increased to kind of like make a little bit more time to counter. A huge attack increase to make up for like how hard it is to land the charge shot. But then to go along with that, you got the charge time increase. The delay before attacking was reduced, so it's not just a complete ruin to the playoff, you just get hit out of using it.
Yeah, before it was you charge, you release the button to go and attack, and you have to wait. And in that time, you'd get hit, and since you don't have super armor, you get knocked out of the attack. It was like, okay, cool, I guess I'll just charge the attack again. But now it's an instant thing, and you can just rifle off thunderbolts.
It says the panel highlight was decreased, but it doesn't say whether or not the charge shot will land sooner because of that, or if it's just literally the highlight is there for less time. That's all.
Yeah, like it's like, hey, it's gonna be right here.
It's just purely an aesthetic thing. Like, okay, it's gonna be glowing for less time.
Yeah. It's gonna be right here. Watch out.
Metalman.
Metal Man. A metallic man, if you would.
An Iron Man. Oh, wait.
An Iron Man. Disney kicks in my door.
Oh my god.
HP increase. Cost 6. And can charge non-dimming break chips to deal ×2. I think Metalman has the potential to be really good, and I just need to find that niche.
They're literally a flying
really well
super armor Navi with tons of HP and cost 6. And Drill Arm is in the game as well, so...
I think the main mistake that I've made in my Metalman builds is I'm not putting enough, like I'm not putting enough area grabs and like area control stuff. But Metal Fist, if Metalman is in the same row as his opponent, Metalman will jump to that opponent and then punch them. And does that it breaks the panel that they're on too?
Correct.
Which can be really good. I feel that its charge time is a little too long. And there's a delay before you attack, which it makes it kind of easy to dodge. So I don't think Metal Fist is worth it all the time, but when you do manage to land it...
Well, you gotta remember that in BN4, there's a lot of scuffed arenas with holes. there's a lot of cracks, and it's pretty easy for Metalman to quickly make a bunch of holes in your arena just from their charge shot alone. And a lot of the time it correlates to where your opponent wants to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I think Metal Fist is very like alluring to me. It's like, oh, this does a lot of damage, and I can just wreck their area. But I think Metal Blade is just the far more like optimal. It's boomerang. Metal Fist is boomerang. I believe is break damage. Boomerang that also has deals a fairly decent chunk of damage. But yeah, Metalman. He's pretty cool. Junkman.
Yeah, Junkman has the HP increase, and the junk press is less garbage. For those who have messed with this Navi before, the attack had a large wind-up before it went down the row, but the delay before the attacking has been reduced a little bit, not a lot, just 15 frames. More importantly, Junkman now has Junk Soul's ability, so 2 previously selected standard ships with less than 50 MB will show up on the custom screen. And at first I didn't think this was huge, but because there's so much area control in this game, and because anti-damage is more viable due to its changes, there's a lot of things Junkman can do now, and it can be really difficult to deal with if you're not ready.
Yeah, I still haven't touched Junkman, but you ran him quite a bit.
Oh, I haven't touched him.
You ran him when we first
played 4.5, yeah.
Really? Okay. I thought you played our first few matches.
I played one time with Junkman, and I haven't tested it a lot since.
Ah, well, all right then. How does the junk, his custom screen ability, it's like junk shoot or something like that?
No, it's not like junk shoot. It just shows the chips. It randomly picks 2 standard chips that were previously used. Actually, it just says it was previously selected. I forgot about that. Like, they just have to be selected and brought into the game. They don't even have to be used.
Huh.
So if you're like holding onto a chip, and you actually get your opponent to use it, even though they haven't seen you use it yet.
Okay. It doesn't have to be in like the discard?
No.
Huh. Alright, so Protoman. You want to take Protoman?
Sure, I'll take another one. Protoman. So we got the typical HP cost increase. I think it's pretty fair that they're getting so much, considering they're a neutral Navi with not a lot of great traits. Their buster attack was increased. They have Reflect now, and they can charge sword chips, turning them into 2 times damage depth sword versions. Having wide sword is pretty neat instead of a long sword. Just has more usability with all the area control in the game.
Right.
Has a lot of get the fuck off me energy, if you would.
Yeah.
There are some Navis that can kind of harass you from afar. Speaking of which, Starman.
Oh, my guy, Starman. I want to go through like what he can do, and then I wanted to like go into like some ideas that I had, like that I thought of while at work this morning. So Starman got a HP increase. He has Cust 7. He has air shoes, and non-dimming null chips get a +10 to their damage. His charge shot is Twinkle Meteor, which drops 3 stars that deal a hefty amount of damage. And they also confuse whatever they hit. Which is just really, I think, too much, honestly. Why do they confuse? That's just annoying. So on top of his air shoes and float shoes, and Cuss 7, and plus 10 to null chips, and bullshit charge shot, Starman also gets, on his Cuss screen, a fortune button. You hit the fortune, and it can give you one of these effects. Shining Star blinds your opponent pretty much for the whole turn. Black Hole blinds you for the whole turn. Shooting Star, which is Twinkle Meteor, your charge shot, will constantly spawn at random, and doesn't flash. It doesn't send your opponent into flashing. So on top of your charge shot, there's now more stars falling all over the place. Man-made Satellite, which increases your cust to 10 for that hand. Magnitude 6 star does nothing. Magnitude 3 star, all of your chips that you choose that turn get an additional plus 10 damage. That goes to everything.
That are non-dimming.
Yeah. And then first magnitude star, all of the users' non-dimming chips get a plus 30.
Yeah, I didn't know Starman had a natural plus 10 on top of the star power, giving the pluses for that.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So the idea I had, and this, if Gregor Master is watching, he's not, but if hypothetically, if they were, I would balance Starman around just being kind of like that wacky RNG, like making it like, I'm not a programmer or anything like that, so I don't know how any of this really works, but like making it so you have to hit the fortune button before you can like select your chips, and then increasing. So my whole idea around this was kind of like the orcs from 40K on the tabletop. The orcs are like RNG based pretty much. Like if you're rolling really high and you're doing really good, the orcs will just wipe like your opponent. You'll just wipe the floor with them. But if you're not rolling, you'll end up like killing your own guys, and just stupid stuff will happen like that. And I think that's what should be with Starman with his fortune thing. Like you can end up giving yourself like a nasty HP bug for a turn or something like that. Just having more stuff that like already the fortune stuff I think is pretty good. I think there needs to be a couple more negative effects aside from just blinding yourself. Maybe like confusing yourself for the turn, or yeah, setting like all of your buster stats, charge, buster attack, and speed like to 1.
Minus 10 damage on non-dimming chips.
No, just like getting. Oh yeah, that too, and then also getting like having something set all of your buster stats to 1, so your charge takes forever, and even once you do charge them, it doesn't. It doesn't do much.
I do think that
that's only for like that turn.
It's not great to nerf Starman too much, but you also got to remember that he's a very high cust Navi with a decent amount of HP with air and float shoes, so it kind of brings into question why you would run someone like Megaman, for example, with the only real reason being like the difference in giga chips you can run, because Starman has more natural advantages dealing with stage hazards. Their charge shot isn't confined to one row, and it zones the opponent. You have a variety of effects that can be generally useful in a lot of situations. Sure, there is the chance that you could actually get nothing, but the chance is pretty low. I think it's like about a 10% chance for each of these to happen, relatively, all around the same percentage.
Napalmman. Alright.
I haven't seen any Napalmman.
I touched him once I can't recall if it was in this patch or not.
So it looks like it's the normal HP increase. The Buster is now a Fire Vulcan. I think BBN5 wanted to give Napalmman the Fire Vulcan as well. Now you charge the Buster automatically when not attacking, although it doesn't say what that does exactly. So maybe it increases the damage.
So I think, from what I remember playing him, and as I mentioned before, I can't recall if it was in this patch or not. I think Napalmman is just shooting his Buster automatically. And then as you're shooting, you're also charging automatically. So you don't need to hit the B button until you want to fire your charge shot. Which feels kind of weird. Napalmman plays very differently. Firebomb is, I think it's just like the Napalm Bomb from Battle Network 5.
Yeah, it's the bomb from 2 and 5, from what I understand. It moves like 5. It's very odd from a traditional throwing attack, because it's the only one that moves 5 panels. Right. As far as I know.
Yeah, you have to step back if you want to hit your opponent's entire 3x3.
On one hand, it's really cool because it's such a long-range chip, but on the other hand, it's also so easy to go off the side of your arena.
Yeah, you got to make sure you're not camping, and I think that kind of fills an interesting niche where navis like Woodman or Gutsman, Starman, even they can capitalize greatly on max area, whereas Napalmman, you don't necessarily need that. You can just kind of hang back with neutral area, and just have
focus more on area protection instead of area advantage.
Right, and your Buster's firing automatically, so you just firing and charging automatically. So there's not much area. You don't need to move up unless it's like something like one of your chips has, like you're playing Video Man or something. Yeah, I want to toy around with Napalmman. I think he can be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Iceman.
Compared to... He does have the BN5 attack charge on lava panels, as well as non-dimming fired chips getting plus 50 damage as well.
Oh, that's right.
Just something to think about.
Iceman. I played Iceman for a little bit. He freaking sucked. His charge shot, the freeze bomb, is
well, it sets up ice panels, doesn't it?
Yeah, think of like Medi and her Medi caps, and it freezes.
They also have really low HP, but they can still 2 times charge Aqua Chips, and Gust 7.
Which I mean, Aquaman can already do. So why aren't you just playing Aquaman? Moving on.
I didn't realize that you hated Iceman so much.
I got it in for Iceman. Elecman is so fun to play.
Yeah, I haven't checked them out yet, so it should be interesting. They have the Cust increase, non-dimming elect chips gain 50 damage. They can now charge dimming sword chips and turning them into the dash elect sword version that paralyzes. So this is essentially the chip attack from Link Navies, if you've ever used that before, where he dashes across and then he uses that sword chip. The charge shot Thunderball just gave in a little bit more damage to kind of make up for the fact that it doesn't stay out as long. add some other things. And that's about it.
Elecman really wants to be a sword Navi. Like, he looks at Protoman, and he's like, yo, he looks so cool. I want to be like him. But he's an Elec Navi. I think the fact that the Elec Dash, the sword dash, can go... It like, effectively gives him, like, temporary air shoes. Because you can fly over those to get to your opponent. I like that. It's really fun. The Thunderball can be really good for zoning too, which can move your opponent into position. I think the chip charge for it takes a little too long. I always liked the idea of just loading my hand up with a bunch of sword chips, and I found if you start chip charging a sword chip at the very beginning of the turn, you can usually get 2 in if you're not interrupted. But nonetheless, it's pretty good. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it was bugged for a little bit.
Plantman.
Plantman's pretty interesting. He has a cust increase and now can chip charge the wood chips for 2 times attack, like Woodman can. They can spawn their Navi attack from their chip in BN3, and it'll hit a second time now. It has a little bit more charge, and whenever they use wood chips, they'll get a flower that appears at the same range as throwables away from Plantman when used.
Yeah.
And they'll have a variety of effects that attack in a plus shape and do a little bit of damage. I didn't know it was based on your buster attack, though. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I did not know. I did not realize that either. I thought it was just kind of a flat damage, but that changes things a bit, eh?
Not really. It's only 70. Oh no, wait. It goes up to 10 in this game, so it's 120 at max.
Not bad.
It's kind of meh. The flowers aren't that great to hit with. They're more of a zoning tool.
Yeah, damage is damage, though, honestly.
Yeah, it is.
Knightman. I have not played with Knightman. I played Knightman before this patch came out, and he was completely busted. I believe Royal Wrecking Ball did like 200 something damage. It was I remember it clearing Life Aura, and
yeah,
it was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Can charge chip charge break chips for ×2. And Knightman also has the movement delay similar to Woodman. It looks like Knightman's is a little worse, like he's waiting a little bit longer to move. But Knightman having the highest HP, look at that, 2,000. What was Kingdom Crusher? Is that just...
He fires the ball. He fires the spike ball at you.
Okay. Yeah, Knightman is another one of those navies that really capitalizes on area control.
Yeah, their huge HP can kind of make them a threat if you don't really have the damage to take them down.
Shadowman, another one that I haven't played around with too much.
I think in the base 4.5 real PvP patch, which basically allows you to play 4.5 like a normal Battle Network PvP game, he was very popular due to having back B anti-damage. But you can see that, like all the other navies, he has a bit more of an HP increase, a bit more of a cust increase. Greg are probably really self-aware that having back B anti-damage is really strong, and that there's way too many situations where you can reduce a lot of damage. Might even get lower HP moving forward, because right now they have more HP than Iceman, they have more HP than Roll. Sure, Roll has, like, she can heal, like, what, like, 20 HP or like 50 HP every time she uses a very niche number of chips.
Yeah. His charge attack from the base game has been changed. In the base game, it was just straight up invis, but that has been changed to be Ninja Star, which I believe is just the star attack from anti-damage.
I don't know if he jumps in the air though. It's very interesting.
I think he does. I remember seeing that, but I'm not positive.
I think having a crit rate on using sword chips is one of the funniest things I've ever read, because crit rate has never existed in Battle Network before. So reading that that's a part of the game now is really funny.
Critical hit.
Yeah, and it's a 40% chance too, so it's a pretty decent chance to work.
I could put a TF2 joke in right here. Random critical hits are perfectly fair and balanced.
Yeah, but now they could charge non-dimming chips.
Wait,
non-dimming chips. So any non-dimming chips?
Can now charge non-dimming chips to gain 120
I feel like
frames of invis before using the chip.
Is that any chip? I don't feel like that's right. That can't be right? Like, there's no way that Shadowman just turns invisible with every chip usage.
You could, if you charge it, I guess.
I feel like this is supposed to say something else, and it's not. On to base, I guess.
On to base, the one everyone asks about. I can play as base. Yes.
Yeah.
You can play as
base
base.
is interesting. It seems like it's just a lot more balancing from Grega's part, because base was really strong in the original. I think they were kind of a secret character.
I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, you have to like beat the game like entirely, and you have to beat base himself to unlock him.
Yeah, so the HP was increased a little bit, and it actually reduced the Mega Folder. Base is Cust 5, so I think they have the lowest amount of Cust out of all of the Navis. But it focuses a lot on the charge shots, and Grega kind of shows that. Reducing the counter time on both charge shots, increasing the damage, giving a little bit of frames before the attacking, so people have more time to react. Shooting Buster no longer perfectly tracks you, so you actually can dodge it a little bit. Shooting Buster can no longer shoot base behind. It also doesn't shoot the same panel 2 waves in a row, which is interesting. I didn't know that. So if you stand still, you can actually take less charge shot or shots from it. It doesn't flinch, so you can't stun lock someone with it. Darkness Overload, though, base doesn't do the shooting rake attack. He'll move to the 4th panel from the player spot in the middle, and he'll release an attack that hits you while you're invis, and also gives him a barrier. It has a very long charge time, though. It's been given a delay before he moves, and base doesn't fly, so he won't just fly over a hole and hit the opponent. He does get the barrier 100 back, though. Try not to use it if you have a life aura, I guess.
Also, if you're just standing in the way, the attack will play out.
Yeah.
Base is very polite, and he won't ask you to move.
Yeah. It's kind of funny, because if you're invisible, then he can just kind of move there.
Just move there anyways. It cracks all the panels that it hits, so you can use it to like clear out. It only hits the back 2 rows, though. That's a constant.
Yeah.
You can use it
the
to
back 2 columns.
Yeah, you can use it to temporarily clear out Sanctuary, or if they're camping on like some lava panels or wood panels, or I suppose I should say grass panels.
Yeah, so it'll break the last 2 area. It's a great harass option if you're plus area and you kind of just want to capitalize while you're slowly going through your folder. This is very much you're kind of relying on the charge shots and relying less on the chip pulling due to just the lower cost and the lower mega folder that you have access to.
Mm-hmm. So that is the base. See what I did there?
Yeah.
Patch. So that was the original, what was released. Now moving to Preview 2. What was, like an update to that.
Yeah, so this is essentially the second release after people have gotten a chance to play it, and Greg is seeing, like, what people are doing. Thankfully, Preview 1 is still available for download, so if people were really happy with how Preview 1 turned out, then they can still play it. But Preview 2 is out now, and for the first of our general updates, there was a bug sometimes caused an MB error in the folder editor. Oh, that's weird. I wonder if that ever popped up for any of ours.
If it did, I never noticed it.
Yeah, there was also a bug with regular chips not appearing first in battle. I wonder which chips those included. A lot of general updates. The angry emotion has been added.
Yeah, a rage is. I saw that. I thought that was really neat. ×2 damage for 60 frames. I wonder if the Navis have new sprites for that emotion. That would be kind of neat.
I think it's just red, but I might be wrong about that. There's some sound effects that were added. It looks like the cut-in input window was increased. I think I was having a couple of issues with that in Preview 1, where like sometimes
where
I
you
couldn't
just
TFC, but
yeah, TFCs just wouldn't happen. It would be like, oh, okay, cool. I had an anti-damage, but I guess I'll just take this.
It looks like Rega is working a little bit more on removing evil chips, because some chips still checked for karma. Some things crashed when TFC'd. Grass panel healing rate was changed to take longer.
Now, they only specify wood element navies here, so does this not apply to Fireman?
No.
Huh.
Yeah.
Entering a put to speed up frozen, paralyzed, and immobilized timers is now indicated by flashing white 4-frame.
Oh,
that's kind of
official indicator to know if you're actually moving or not. Okay, that's good to know. I actually didn't know that.
That's kind of neat. I like that. Giga chips now appear in slots 11 through 27. No more turn 1 upgrade. Damn it.
I still think I end up with base sometimes in Numberman's hand when I start with number open, though, so maybe it's not perfect. Maybe it's a function of number open, though. I don't know.
Perhaps. Same program advance can only be used once per battle.
Didn't know that was a bug or a thing in BN4, but okay.
Yeah.
No longer seeing the charge shot when
when your opponent is invisible.
Yeah.
Does that also apply? Does that apply to blind as well?
I think that's what they mean.
That was kind of okay.
Fix chip charge sounds. All right. Fix the effect.
Damage by weakness. So some slight chip updates. The breath attacks.
It goes over holes, unlike Heatman's charge shot.
Yeah.
So it's not stopped, and it'll continue over to the spots where there's not a hole.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah, I think that's definitely good. Fangs now match the opponent's row before shooting forward instead of moving before shooting forward, so... No longer causing flinching and flashing, though, is pretty interesting. I think that's one of the first Aqua chips that actually does that.
Yeah, that's an interesting addition. Slasher got a damage increase from 160 to 200.
Probably because not a lot of people were running it. Probably to get more people to use it as an option for people invading in their area.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like Boomer wasn't properly always placing grass.
But sometimes place it on the user's field. It'll probably work out really well if you're a Wood Navvy. Which, if you're playing a Wood Navvy, why would you not be running Boomer?
White Web no longer stays on your field for all eternity.
It's not there forever.
Yeah, instead of staying on your field for 6 seconds, it's on your field for 4 seconds.
Blackwing no longer spawns Darkhold.
Another example of Grega trying to pull away from evil chips and general karma stuff.
How do you feel about that? I've always been kind of neutral on evil chips.
It doesn't make any sense in 4.5, so I think it's good that it's being removed. In base 4 and stuff, I think it's a good way to differentiate builds, and I think it's a great way to differentiate between a lot of different chips. Because if you leave it available for both builds to use, then obviously the side that has better abilities is going to be the one using it. I think in 5, stuff like that was kind of poorly handled because dark chips could just be turned into a soul that gives you all of the abilities of that soul, and it also lets you use the dark chip anyways.
With little downside. Like if your timing's right, it doesn't matter. Big Hammer, the drop height was reduced by a bunch of pixels.
Didn't realize that there was actually a vertical axis in BN.
Yeah, that's an interesting bit of knowledge there. Now spawns at least one rock on the opponent's panel, instead of every rock dropping on a random panel. That's nice. I remember using that once or twice, and it just wouldn't hit, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So this is just...
Oh, this is really neat. This is something I was really hyped about, because I think I've talked about this a little bit before with you, but command codes for object placement!
Yeah.
Thank God! This has been needed for a long time, because there's so many situations where an opponent can just like get rid of a panel in front of you, or you can't really place an object due to how the field's set up. Having the ability to place objects even to the left instead of being able to place it wherever is like a huge step forward towards protecting objects. And you'll see later that this applies to Fanfare, Discord, any placeable object.
Yeah, every object now has this. So Wind, Fanfare, Discord, Silence, Guardian, Anubis. I believe Poison Pharaoh also has this change.
Airspin has been fixed, so now it works with a lot of different mechanics and chips. So now it can be thrown by Junkman. I'm guessing that's indicating that it can be thrown by Poltergeist, I'm guessing. It can be frozen by Coldman, so I'm guessing it's the Coldman Navi chip? Maybe it has something to do with Coldman itself, but... No, wait, because it's only a chip in this game.
Yeah, I think Coldman changes whatever's in front of him to ice cubes, correct? And then he pushes those.
It's been fixed so that it actually contributes to Junk Reborn's throw effect.
Right.
Alright. So all the objects were fixed. Jealousy has been changed.
Numbers of hits have been rescaled. And the damage has been decreased as well.
It's kind of showing that Grega Master really doesn't want Jealousy to be part of the game, because the chip does so much less damage, and there's circumstances in which the opponent just to like take 0 damage from Jealousy. Which is really interesting, because I feel like there's several times where an opponent would just take like 2 to 3 chips, and you would just be doing... Which, that warrants the damage decrease, because you shouldn't be able to do just 300 damage from your opponent having like 3 chip.
Or potentially 500 damage if they decide to go with a full hand.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, if they take a full hand, then that's a lot of chips, but you also can't take any other chips with Jealousy. At least first.
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of ruins the point of it if you're taking jealousy. It looks like bug chain has been fixed. Because it didn't properly give the bug given by the black weapon.
Huh.
I did notice that a little bit when we were playing, because when it gave you the HP bug, it did not give the same level of HP bug, because our HP gained at different rates.
Huh. I did not realize that. I just
Yeah.
remember you hitting me with it, and I was like, well, now I have to live with this. Guts Punch has been completely what happened to my R's? All my R's are turning into double.
So now it sends the Guts Punch forward instead of requiring a command code like in old games. And it no longer dims the screen either, so now it's just the giant fist coming at you.
Yeah, which I think is great. Well, I remember using Guts Punch against you, and it was just a Navi chip, and I think it got caught by anti-Navi, and I was like, why is this a Navi chip? What? This should just be the attack.
I think one of the more important things about the chip is that it'll actually proceed one panel after wherever it collides with. So, there's not a lot of situations where that comes up, but imagine your opponent hiding behind an object and you just throw the Guts Punch out there. I think the delay is enough to let your opponent react to it, but maybe not.
Meteors getting hit with a nerf there.
Yeah, so now you can't layer meteors at the same time.
Before you could just take a handful of, like, I think Meteor 1 came in Star Code. Yeah, it used to come in Star Code. So you could get some Meteor 1s and some Meteor 3s all in one hand, and you could just spam the ever-living shit out of your A button.
Yeah, we talked a bit about that.
It was just like the apocalypse happening.
Yeah.
It was really stupid.
Yeah, I think it'll probably undersee more nerfs in the future, honestly, because even with some of the damage, I think the change where it will no longer target the same panel twice in a row will fix a lot of the damage locks, but I think there's no reason why Meteors 3 shouldn't be like 50 power if it's going to be like forcing your opponent to move so much.
Yeah, and especially in a format where super armor isn't extremely common. There are a couple Navis that have it baked in, like Gutsman, Metalman, Woodman. I think there might be. Does Knightman have it? I think he does. I would be surprised if he doesn't. These four Navis, if you're not playing as them, meteors can really wreck you. Like, you get caught by one and you're just stuck.
Yeah.
For however long they're spamming out meteors.
And it's even worse for Navis like Plantman or Woodman that take double damage, so if you're getting hit by Fireman...
It's especially bad for Plantman since he doesn't have super armor.
Yeah.
Like, Woodman can move out and dodge a couple of them, but Plantman is just stuck. And it will usually end up just deleting. Just straight up deleting Plantman. Like, he has no answers to that.
Yeah, lightning being fixed so it no longer paralyzes is really neat. Because I remember getting hit by that, and I was like, oh, it paralyzes? And then you just followed up with something else.
Yeah. I think a lightning would be a lot better. I don't know. I think that it's more of a me thing.
What if it just struck the opponent?
Well, yes. Also, yes. But I just don't really know how to play with objects quite yet. Like, that's not a play style I've toyed around with too much. It works a lot with pretty well with Metal Gear. Speaking of, Metal Gear now spawns on the closest panel of the opponent's original 3x3. And the gears will move in that range. So even if you area grab, the Metal Gear will start moving on to your area. It looks like. Am I understanding that correctly?
Now that you said that, I'm not sure. So I vote that we skip this because I'm not about to build that up in testing. Okay. We can figure that out later.
We'll cross that bridge later. That's another one for the chili build.
The wording on that's a little weird.
That's what I took away when reading that. Like I was like, oh, this will now something I have to worry about when I play it.
Windman is also worded really confusingly. It says round tornadoes don't disappear after colliding with anything. I think this is a nod to 6 because there are situations where, like, if you hit a rock cube, for example, it doesn't really do damage to the rock cube. It'll just, like, move it. So I think that's kind of the inspiration here, where the tornadoes will just disappear after colliding with, I assume, objects and Megaman.
Okay.
Searchman having an audio cue for correctly putting in the command code is kind of interesting.
I wasn't aware Searchman had a command code.
That's the one that deletes your chip.
Okay.
You have to put A and B at the same time when you hit someone.
I see. Shade ban no longer causes the player bug when the command code is entered. Cold ban frozen obstacles created by Cold ban now count towards Junk Reborn. That's
Shade
pretty
man,
neat.
Yeah.
Laser Man no longer uninstalls through anti-damage.
Yeah, and then one of the changes I like the least. It's very interesting, and I'm kind of curious to see if this is how Gregor Master is going to model this going through it, but they've basically remodeled Video Man to be Judge Man.
I was actually kind of excited about this change. I saw that, and I was like, oh wow, that's really cool.
It's very interesting, and when he uses the... So basically how he works is it'll be the same Video Man attack, it's got reduced damage to it, but after he uses the original attack, if your opponent has breached into your original area, it'll summon a secondary tape that'll start attacking the opponent and return the area stolen up to the column that the opponent is in, or all of it if your opponent's not in that area. And this is really neat because now you just take Star Video Man and you essentially have Judge Man in your folder.
It's this game's version of Judge Man, which I think is kind of neat. I like that.
It's very neat, and if you watch Video Man, he'll actually be in his rewind state when he hits you with the peel type attack.
I think there should be more in Battle Network games in general. I think there should be more of these like utility Navi chips where it's not just
I agree
to do big damage. And seeing as it's now instead of something you put out to be big damage, you can still use it for damage, but it's more of a tool now where it's like, okay, I can use this to deal like 170 something damage, or somewhere around 170, something like that, in the neighborhood with the SP chip, and take back my area, or I can just take it back. This is mine. Get off my lawn.
It's just making me think that
I don't think it's as good as Judge Man.
Yeah, no, it's not, because it's neutral damage instead of electric damage,
and it's not going to paralyze either.
But it does have more range, and unlike books, the videotape doesn't need to travel over holes. It just spawns on top of you. So from a damage perspective, it's better than Judge Man, but I think
it's more of a utility. That's where I was more looking at it, and I think Judge Man has more utility.
Yeah, utility-wise, it's so much... Well, it's not better, it's literally the exact same verbatim to Judge Man, but...
Judge Man has more opportunities to use as like a follow-up, like a setup, I should say. And then...
There you go, yeah.
But Blue Moon no longer uninstalls through anti-damage. Signal Red.
I wonder why that was
Signal Red has the object change or addition.
Oh, I think there's a Navi that has an MB of 70. I know Numberman has an MB of 80. Or actually, was this for Numberman?
It probably was for Numberman. I was going to say, I think Numberman has an MB of 70.
I don't think I've seen the reg for Numberman work though, so I'm very curious to find out how they're regging Signal Red. That's really funny. I'm not going to touch on this too much, but I'm very worried that traits from 6 will creep over. I'm all for utility chips in general, because I've talked about Navi chips spawning object chips. I've talked about them having more effects, like, oh, like Shadowman giving you anti-damage or something like that. So I'm very curious to see how Gregamaster works with that, because there's definitely a lot of very interesting Navi chips in BN 4.5. So
I would like to see, like, again, I'm not a programmer, I don't know how this stuff works, but I think it would be really cool to see like some of the Navis that are in 4.5 but don't have their own Navi chip, like say Knightman or Shadowman. They don't have their own Navi chips, but they're in the game.
I'm not sure if the game has the space for that, but
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm
to add this.
I don't know how this stuff works. I just like playing video games. I think that would be really cool to see new chips, like on top of these ones. So not everything has to be completely reworked like Video Man.
Final Gun's been changed. To be honest, I didn't know how Final Gun worked to begin with. I think you just...
I think I tried using it once and it missed. I was like, all right, I'm not gonna try that again.
I think I changed anti-damage or invis or something, but it shoots you.
Yeah, it shoot. I think that's another one that I'll have to play with more to figure out what it does.
Okay, so it looks like, based on this, it looks like it's supposed to do damage equal to the number of chips you've used total.
Huh.
Unless that's just chips picked this round. I don't even know what code Final Gun is in.
I don't remember either.
Oh, and you also have to charge it in order to use it. You have to charge your charge shot.
I think it's you use the chip and then it's an auto charge. Like it starts charging. Like to your opponent, it looks like just like a regular, like you're charging a charge shot. But then it uses the
Poison Barrel can now spawn behind the user.
So getting on to the Navi updates.
This is one of the hypest things, and I can't wait to try this. I was about to say, this is
probably one of the biggest updates of this. Roll now has more HP. She can now heal when using non-dimming chips. She has changed to her barrier, is now capped at 240 frames.
But it also applies to all allies.
Getting to that, you want to go over this?
Yes. So now you can sacrifice to your pagan, Matar, and summon one, and their max HP will be based on the sacrifice chip capped at 500. They'll do damage equal to half of their max HP. You can only have one Matar at a time. And the version of the Matar is determined by its max HP. And actually, let me look up the Matars while we're here, because I'm not sure if any of these Matars have any special effects. I like how the first thing that comes up when I look it up is Matar Village.
From the manga.
That was in 4.
Was it? I don't remember that. I don't remember 4. I don't remember much of 4.
Let's see. Alright, so the Metar 3 EX will actually turn the shockwaves into swamp panels. Metar 3s will crack panels. And I don't think any of the others have any effects. But it's very curious because I'm not sure what chips you can give up that have more than 250 damage in 4.5.
Blue Moon.
But that aren't Gigas or SP Navi chips.
I don't think there are any, and I think that's kind of the point, that if you want that Metar 3 EX,
you gotta want it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to pay for that. So I think that's something that we're gonna have to see, like how worth it do you think these summons will be? Like,
I think people won't care, and they'll just be, I want my Metar. Yeah, for sure. I think it's hype as heck.
Oh yeah. And then also on top of that, I also just want to point out that she can still delete your chips.
On to the next Navi.
On to Gutsman. Guts machine gun got a small buff.
Nerf.
Is it a nerf?
Yeah, look, the charge time takes longer.
Oh.
And the delay between shots is increased.
But of all the things to nerf, it was Guts machine gun? What? Guts machine gun is so lame.
On to Numberman.
Numberman.
I'm all for this. An HP increase. Yeah, I don't know why he was 1200 HP. The Dice Bomb has a significantly reduced charge time. Yeah. I still think it's pretty bad because people can just walk into it.
I do think now that it should be a little lower.
To make up for it, though, I think with the way it is now, it's a little faster than some people's charge shot, so if they choose to run into it, they're only taking like 30 damage. But it'll like beat out some charge shots. In a sense. And you were talking about this before and you were complaining, but Fireman's healing on lava panels has been decreased.
Yeah.
Oh, and I also didn't notice that they reduced the fire increase damage.
They did. Which... Alright. I mean...
Yeah. So that makes it a little better, because meteors now do only 110 at level 3. And now they can no longer chain lock you. Woodman is pretty interesting. Just from reading him all at once, he definitely seemed very overloaded, so lowering his HP, I think, was a very good step.
I agree. And then the numbers of wood towers was reduced from 4 to 3.
3 or 4 to 3. I didn't know it was optional how many spawn.
It was kind of random.
Yeah.
But now it says it's always going to be 3.
Probably for consistency. It probably confused a lot of people.
Perhaps, yeah. Windman.
A whole bunch of Windman changes because, dear gosh, I hated this Navi.
Windman was very powerful. Propeller bombs.
Propeller bomb had HP.
Yeah. Now
you
can
I'll
actually
shoot it next time.
Now you just shoot those out of the sky.
Yeah, I didn't know you could shoot them to begin with. I thought they were just inanimate. Round Tornado causes flashing, so you can't just chain stun them, and the charge time is increased.
I think the charge time was the biggest. It was the biggest thing that made that charge shot. It's just so powerful because you could just whip those out constantly. And then its speed was reduced.
It no longer just whips like right into you, like with no warning.
Yeah. And then I think the biggest and best change, the most annoying part of him wasn't Round Tornado. It was his cuss screen effect, where he could just control where your opponent is. So now there is a limit to how many times you can.
Yeah, because it made him kind of oppressive, and it kind of made all builds with barriers irrelevant. So I think this was definitely a really good thing to do, because you can no longer permanently influence the movement while you're not really worried about it.
It's no longer when to go burr. It's something you have to think about now. It's like, okay, maybe I should, or do I want my opponent to be over here? Am I going to be playing more area grabs or something in this? Are they using area grabs on me? Is there something like, do I want to push them back? Do I want to keep them close just so I can hit them with the round tornado more? It adds a new kind of like a new layer to Windman, which I think is really cool, along with getting rid of that really oppressive, really annoying function that he had before.
So it seems like the fan or wind has to be off for a turn before you get a charge of it. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the turn ends and you get a charge back for the next turn. But I do like that it's also only for 300 frames and not for an entire turn. So like in a slow gauge environment, Windman won't be in control of this whole situation, for example.
Yeah. Searchman got a slight nerf, it looks like.
Might have realized that maybe giving exactly Search Soul from BN5 was not a great idea on a permanent Navi. So they nerfed the cuss scream effect a bit, and they made the charge time for the scope gun longer. They also made a little bit of a delay between all of the attacks and the hits, so that it gives the opponent more time to react to things. Just to make it more reactable to Searchman, not to things that like hurt like his ability to survive or deal damage.
It's no longer
Spoutman has more health. And a new charge shot.
That's kind of neat.
Or, well,
Aqua Hose. No, it's more when you're playing basketball with him. If you hit it in, you get
Geyser.
More bubbles. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Thunderman got a nerf. Cuss was decreased from 7 to 6. The cloud now gets stopped by objects, which I think is really funny, because if you remember when they're looking back at Thunderman's like original patch notes in the first preview, that was one of the changes where the cloud was no longer stopped by objects, and they were like,
well, you remember, because there's some maps in BN4 where objects are on both sides, so Thunderman can literally just spawn and the cloud will just be sitting there chilling. But I think Grego might have realized that all a person had to do to make the opponent like get stuck forever is to take the double crack chip, where it just breaks the two pedals in front of you. You just walk up, you use this chip, and your opponent will always get hit by some form of cloud.
Yeah, and they're just constantly paralyzed, and you just want to die. It's just not good.
I'm confused by the wording that the cloud only paralyzes once per panel.
I think that was something that the cloud, if it went over, because its movement was kind of weird. So like it would go in a circle around Thunderman. So
I thought it went around the arena.
It would stay kind of close to Thunderman, if I'm remembering correctly.
No, you're
like if you were back road, it would. Or would it just roam?
It would just roam by itself, yeah. I think this is so that if you stun like someone, the cloud can't like roll around and add to the paralyze.
I thought it was something that it would move in like a circular motion, is how I remember.
Yeah, around the field.
I thought it was something like if you were back road, it would stay close to Thunderman, and it would it could constantly like re-up the paralysis, like if it was hitting you on the same panel multiple times.
Yeah.
But now it looks like you can get hit by it on one panel and you can just kind of tank it from then, or like from there.
Yeah.
Metalman Metal Fist's charge time was reduced, which I think is great because the charge time was just such a commitment.
I'm not sure why Metalman is receiving so many buffs, because they already had a lot of HP and they have great natural programs like flying ×2 and super armor.
I agree, but also
also the fact that their Buster Shot will destroy any objects instantly.
I think it was it instantly. I thought
it's
it was
instantly.
Extra damage. Oh shit! I thought it was just it dealt.
You can P-shot and just annihilate boulders.
Huh. Metal Fist is like a high damaging attack, but the wind up that it has, it misses like 9 out of 10 of the times that you use it.
Yeah, but the goal of Metal Fist isn't to really hit, it's to like line up your opponent for a spot where you can do more to them.
I suppose, but let's say in this this situation you're going up against a Starman who has air shoes. I suppose in that situation it would be better to use Metal Blade, which now pierces guard, which is pretty good. You're not pulling up a Reflector 3 on that.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much I agree with buffing Metalman. I think Metalman's a bit overloaded too, just because of like them kind of retaining their neutral Navi status, but having their ability to destroy panels while also flying and also super armor. The Metal Blade is very easy, like the Thunderman Cloud, to kind of like area lock you because of its boomerang effect.
Protoman now reserves the panel that he's about to jump to.
Yeah, this is going to go for another Navi, which we experienced a bug with the last time we were streaming.
Changes to Starman. Now, okay. You know, I love Starman. He's my guy.
Mm-hmm.
I wholeheartedly agree that he should be nerfed, alright? And I don't think this is enough.
I don't think this is enough at all.
Chance for Shining Star was decreased. Shining Star was the ability that blinds your opponent.
No, Shining Star was the... Oh wait, yeah, it was, okay.
Magnitude 6 star, which is nothing happens, has been increased from 5% to 10%. And the blind from Shining Star can now be blocked by shields and barriers. It's a good start.
Great. I didn't even know it could do that, but dear gosh, the fact that it could. I don't even know if they fixed the multi-code bug. We haven't looked at bugs, but I'm guessing we're not going to get to that today.
The
whole bunch of Napalmman changes, though.
I think the biggest thing for Starman, I think, for me at least, as one who may or may not say that they are a Starman main, I think get rid of Starman's Confuse on his charge shot, because that's just obnoxious.
It's kind of obnoxious.
Napalmman got a bunch of changes.
I didn't know he was cussed 5. That was so bad.
Yeah, that's not too good. Give him an extra chip.
Yeah, it looks like they nerfed the natural fire thing, so it's 1 attack damage every 40 frames instead of 30 frames, plus 40 instead of plus 50. It looks like max damage non-bonus doing chips has been increased, though, so like the longer you stay on lava panels, the
so
bigger
it's
the
similar
increase.
to
which isn't
Charge Cross's chip charge ability.
It looks like Napalmman didn't properly trigger anti-damage with Fire Vulcan. Oh, it would crash the game.
I suppose in that situation, Napalmman wins. If your Navi ends the universe, you win.
Oh, I didn't know Napalmman's napalm landed over it shot to where the opponent was. That was a grenade. Huh. But if 3 panels away is invalid, lands on the enemy's current panel. Oh, that's interesting. So if you're too close, you can just shoot the opponent. It doesn't say that it functions where it won't throw behind, which is very interesting.
Yeah, honestly, I kind of liked that hypothetical I came up with in this very video, where Napalmman is supposed to be more of a hang back Navi instead of where you have to like think about, oh, this is where my charge shot's gonna land. If it just auto targets, like, what's the point? Like, oh yeah, of course I'm going to area lock you and just hang up here. I don't know if I like that, to be honest.
Firebomb has some changes to it, but they're not that great. Iceman has a shield. Oh, no longer has a shield now.
Iceman got a complete rework. All of that trash that I was talking on Iceman was leading up to this, because I read this and I was like, yo, Iceman sounds really cool now, and I want to try him.
I'll be honest, I didn't read any of this.
I skimmed through a little bit when...
Yo, Iceman can kick someone for 1 damage. I found my new way to DM people.
I saw that. I was like, that is hilarious. Imagine just like the get out of here, get off my lawn.
It seems to be insinuating that it can push navis as well, but I wonder if it can push natural objects like boulders.
I would assume so. But...
Well, you normally can't move boulders, right?
Looking at Ice Slasher, Ice Slasher turns obstacles it collides with into ice cubes. And then you can kick those, for sure.
I'm also confused what the Ice Slasher is. Like, what kind of attack is that?
I don't know. That's something I want to look at. I haven't looked at any peeks at Iceman yet. But this looks really cool, and I'm excited to try it out.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Elecman's Dash Elect Sword charge time was reduced by 60 frames. Yay!
It's no longer bugging! Yay! So for those that don't know, we noticed a bug. It's pretty funny, but I already triggered something to damage Blue Star. Where he used the Dash Elect Sword and he made it to the back of the arena.
I just left. Elecman just leaves for a while.
You were just like slashing the edge of the arena like over and over again, like going berserk on it. You were just like gone. I was gonna put that in the highlights, but I haven't worked on that video at all yet, so don't look forward to that anytime soon. Yeah, the Thunderball no longer stays around. Stays around a little bit longer, not forever, but a little bit longer.
Yeah, it will go. Let's see, 5 panels, which is nice. I mean, that was something. One like minor gripe I had about that was just I think Elecman might be, for me at least, in kind of a perfect situation for me, like how I was playing him. Where I can use the Thunderball to zone, and then I can quickly charge a sword chip. Pretty good. I like that. I like these changes. Knightman, I still haven't played. He also had Cuss 5.
That's kind of weird. I mean, it kind of makes sense considering he has 2000 HP and super armor, but I guess that wasn't enough to get people to play him.
Charge time was reduced for Royal Wrecking Ball. Reduced? What?
I don't really get that, honestly. I guess the idea is if you can get that close, that you deserve to kill them.
Yeah. Perhaps just... you're going up against Knightman, you better have your grab banishes. You better have your grab banishes ready.
Yeah. Shadowman, though, it looks like they fixed anti-damage. So sometimes it would show up like normal anti-damage. It no longer removes the user's trap when it's activated. Or wait, unless it's activated?
That might be in like one of those special situations where you get hit just before or just after the like duration goes. Like your anti-magic is up. Maybe, I don't know.
Anti-damage now has a color indicator.
But it's visible only to... Yeah, so you can tell like when you're using it, when you're safe, when you're not. And then base Fixed base's barrier still being visible when base is not visible.
Darkness Overload is now a reserved panel, so that's kind of insinuating that it also had a chance for base to just fly somewhere. The void.
Base just leaves for a little bit, goes for a walk.
Oh my god, shooting Buster can shoot from inside of pop-up? I like to think he's just putting his Buster through the hole
Like
and
Bugs
shooting
Bunny,
people.
just pop, 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 pop.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
That's pretty great.
But that's it. That's pretty much everything
for preview 1 and preview 2. If Gregor keeps working on this and comes out with a preview 3, you can bet your bottom dollar we'll be talking about it.
Yeah, and there's definitely more stuff to talk about as we see how it's being played and what people are choosing to play. Because I think a lot of the choices for this patch were they were primarily because of bugs and because of the stuff that was overwhelming. So, like, Fireman healing just for 1, Windman. I think people weren't playing Starman that much, which is why there were nerfs, but it wasn't that much. But it'll be very interesting to see the other gameplay ideas kept in mind for Preview 3, if there is a Preview 3.
If not, this Preview 2 is pretty cool.
Yeah, but I hope everyone has a nice day.
Yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you've watched this far, thank you very much, and I hope you have a good one.
Bye.